Shalom, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Welcome all. We are humbled to have you all at this gathering, as we are here to support and mourn for our Muslim friends, family members, and community. Thank you all for coming. We'd like to send a special thank you to Senator Jason Lewis, Representatives Paul Broder and Donald Wong, to our town councilors, Ed Dombrowski, Tony Longo, and to our chair, Peter May, to our school committee chair. I'm sorry, I was about to just say Tom because I know him. But for Thomas Markham, for Ann Fortier, also to Superintendent of Schools in Wakefield, Doug Lyons. We'd also like to thank for attending our police chief, Rick Smith, and to the Wakefield Police Department, also to the Wakefield clergy and the DPW who helped us in putting this night together. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Matthew Cadwell, the priest at Emmanuel Episcopal Church, right over there, and I'm here speaking on behalf of our Wakefield Interfaith Clergy Association. Thank you for joining us here on the Wakefield Common on this night, the first night of spring. This is a night when we remember those who were killed in a senseless terror attack last week because of their religion, because they were Muslim. And this is a night when we stand together side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and heart to heart, in solidarity with them and their grieving families and communities, and with each other, to say that hate has no home here in Wakefield. Rather, love and peace and understanding. It's especially appropriate and meaningful that tonight's vigil should be held here on the Common, surrounded by our several houses of worship. This, in a way, is common meeting ground. It's right here that the town's menorah is lit on Hanukkah, here that we remember those who have died in service to their country and for freedom and liberty around the world, including especially the freedom to practice religion in all of its manifestations. It's here that children play. And now tonight we remember those who have died half a world away simply because they were Muslim. It doesn't take long for the ripple effects of what happens far away to reach us here, especially in this increasingly polarized time. But we know that we can be agents for growth, for positive change, for a better and more whole society, whatever our religion or background. Reaching out to our neighbors in love and in care, neighbors who may differ in religion or race or background in any of many ways, but who are fully and wonderfully human. And so that's what tonight is about. It's about taking a stand together against hate and for love, for peace, for respect, and for understanding. We won't solve all of the world's problems here tonight. We won't even solve all of Wakefield's. But we take another step on the journey that will eventually lead us to deeper understanding, deeper love, and deeper community. Martin Luther King Jr. said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Tonight, together, we are bending that arc just a little more. I'd like to open us now with a prayer from the Indian Muslim mystic Hazrat Inayat Khan. It's a prayer for peace. Send us thy peace, O Lord, which is perfect and everlasting, that our souls may radiate peace. Send us thy peace, O Lord, that we may think, act, and speak harmoniously. Send us thy peace, O Lord, that we may be contented and thankful for thy bountiful gifts. Send us thy peace, O Lord, that amidst our worldly strife we may enjoy thy bliss. Send us thy peace, O Lord, that our lives may become a divine vision, and in thy light all darkness may vanish. Send us thy peace, O Lord, that we, thy children, may all unite in one family. Amen. And now I invite our Town Councilor Chair, Peter May, and, sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Senila Yasmin, and I am a Wakefield resident. Today I'm just here to speak to you guys from the Muslim perspective as to how I feel after these attacks. So I just want to say that I definitely do not speak for the entire Muslim community. However, living in Wakefield, Massachusetts, where we do have such a small community, I felt it was important that I say something here today. I wasn't really sure I was going to make it here today, and I'm really happy I was able to, so please bear with me as I haven't necessarily prepared anything. In the past couple days, I have remained silent. If you go on my social media, I haven't necessarily released any statements about what happened. I needed some time to process everything. After these couple days and standing here today, I want to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a Muslim nowadays. This is my third vigil that I'm attending this week, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the other ideas that have been expressed and some of the thoughts that my fellow Muslim brother and sisters have had as a result of these attacks. On Monday, I had the honor of attending a vigil at Boston University, my own school, and one of the Muslim students said to me there, who wears a hijab and practices wearing a hijab, she came over to me during the vigil and said to me, "Can you believe how easy of a target we are right now? We're all standing in a semicircle. A lot of us are hijabis, and we're such an easy target right now." And that hit me, you know. The fact that somebody could be walking down the street and fear for their life like that hurts. So my message for you guys here tonight is to make your community welcoming. So firstly, I want to thank you all for being here today, because it makes me very happy to see that my Wakefield community is a part of this and is joining me in the fight of fighting hatred. Thank you.
Okay, now we invite the Town Council Chair Peter May and School Committee Chair Thomas Markham to join us at the podium.
Thank you, and good evening, all. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to gather to share some important values that we share as a town, as a community, and as a group of citizens. I'm pleased to read part of a proclamation along with my colleague, Councilor May, that was passed by the three elected boards, the Town Council, the School Committee, and the Human Rights Commission on December 4th of 2018. Quite pleased to be able to share that with you this evening. A proclamation of acceptance and openness among our citizens. Whereas it is the policy of the Wakefield Public Schools to prevent harassment and discrimination based on race, color, sex, age, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, limited English proficiency, disability, or housing status. And whereas several school communities in our region and beyond have experienced multiple incidents of racism, anti-Semitic graffiti, and hate speech targeted at vulnerable students and families. And whereas anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise in K-12 schools, with 93 reported incidents occurring in Massachusetts in 2017, and whereas hate crimes in general have risen for 2 straight years, according to FBI statistics. And whereas the Wakefield Public Schools have also experienced unfortunate incidents of anti-Semitism and racist and hate speech in recent years.
And whereas the Wakefield School Committee, Wakefield Town Council, and Wakefield Human Rights Commission wish to publicly demonstrate solidarity with our neighboring schools and communities in condemning racism, anti-Semitism, and all forms of hate speech. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Wakefield, through the elected and appointed members of the School Committee, Town Council, and Human Rights Commission, stands firmly with the students, parents, educators, citizens, and our neighboring communities to reaffirm our message that hate has no home here. And be it further resolved, as duly voted by each public body, that the resolution be shared with school and municipal leaders across our region to strengthen our collective fight against racism and anti-Semitism and all forms of discrimination. Signed on behalf of each public body by its chair, myself, School Committee Tom Markham, and Human Rights Commission Pina Patel, Chair. Thank you very much for coming today as well. It's not over, I just didn't have a good segue.
And now I'm very pleased to introduce Rabbi Greg Hersh from Temple Emmanuel and also Wakefield Human Rights Commission clergy member.
Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, may peace be upon you all. Tonight, the Jewish holiday of Purim begins. It's the most joyful holiday of our year, when we retell the 2,500-year-old story of Queen Esther. It took place in Shushan, the capital of ancient Persia. The story offers a picture of a world turned upside down. A Jewish orphan becomes a Persian queen, and Haman, who sought to kill all the Jews of Persia, ends up getting hung on the gallows by the very people he sought to destroy. Appropriately, the annual celebration of this upside-downness involves costumes, parodies, and lots of food and alcohol. Tonight, I'll be discussing an aspect of the story with you and with the Temple Emmanuel community that very few people, Jewish or Christian, are aware of. At the end of the story, the topsy-turvy twist is that those who were going to be murdered become the murderers. The oppressed become the oppressors. It's not only Haman, the evil man, who gets hung on the gallows, but also his 10 seemingly innocent sons. And then the Jews of Persia went on a killing rampage. The text reads, "The Jews struck down all their enemies with the sword, killing and destroying them, and they did what they pleased to those who hated them. In the citadel of Shushan, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men." A few verses later, the next day, quote, "The Jews in Shushan came together on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and they put to death in Shushan 300 men. Meanwhile, the remainder of the Jews who were in the king's provinces also assembled to protect themselves and get relief from their enemies. They killed 75,000 of them. In the span of 2 days, the Jews of ancient Persia slaughtered 75,811 people. Pretty troubling to think about. How can we make sense of this? The book of Esther is traditionally understood to have been composed by Esther's uncle, Mordecai, a man of his times, the Iron Age. Throughout human history, from the Bronze Age to today, people have rejoiced over the deaths of their enemy, over the deaths of the other. In a world of us versus them, We always root for us over them, and we celebrate victories, even when our victory results in someone else's destruction. We're here tonight because a lone individual in Christchurch, New Zealand, seeing the world through this us and them lens, decided that Muslims at prayer needed to be vanquished and murdered. Have we learned nothing over the last 2,500 years about how to treat our fellow human beings? It's time to move past this kind of barbarism. It's time to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every human. Usually we say regardless of their race, their religion, their gender, their sexual orientation. We shouldn't love people in spite of their differences. We must love people because of their differences. The book of Genesis teaches that every human being is created in the image of God. It's time for us to stop thinking about us versus them and to start thinking about all of humanity as us. As the Torah teaches, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Rather than being aspirational, we must resolve to make this kind of love a reality, starting right here, tonight, in Wakefield. I'd like to close with a quote from Rabbi Israel Salanter, who lived in 19th century Lithuania. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. But I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my country. When I found I couldn't change my country, I began to focus on my town. However, I discovered that I couldn't change the town. And so as I grew older, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. But I've come to recognize that if long ago I had started with myself, then I could have made an impact on my family. And my family and I could have made an impact on our town. And that, in turn, could have changed the country, and we could all indeed have changed the world.
I'm pleased now to introduce Eadeen Beck from the Wakefield High School Diversity Club.
Hello, my name is Eadeen Beck, and I'm a senior diversity leader at Wakefield Memorial High School. On behalf of all the diversity leaders, we would like to send our deepest condolences to the Muslim community in the wake of this tragic event. As I mentioned, I am a diversity leader. Our program includes 20 juniors and seniors who earned a spot in the class by applying and interviewing. Our class is taught by Marlisa Burke, and this is our 11th year as a class and program. As diversity leaders, we go into every freshman and sophomore class and lead activities that will effectively share our mission of creating a more accepting community in our school. We follow a curriculum called A World of Difference, which was created by the Anti-Defamation League. Personally, I wanted to be involved in the Diversity Leader program because I wanted to see a change in our school. Acceptance is a big part of feeling comfortable in school, and I'm always sad to hear when students feel alienated because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, or anything else that makes them unique. I enjoy being a diversity leader because it allows me to reach out to those students that feel discriminated against. Being a diversity leader also allows me to help other students realize how their classmates may feel on a day-to-day basis. It is my hope that we will be able to increase acceptance among young members of our community. I want to help them grow into more accepting adults so that we can avoid all acts of violence that are rooted in hate.
And now, Chief Rick Smith.
Good evening, everybody. 6 days ago, in two separate mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, my community was attacked because my community is in part comprised of my Muslim brothers and sisters here in Wakefield, Massachusetts. On October 27th of 2018, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my community was attacked because my community is in part comprised of my Jewish brothers and sisters here in Wakefield, Massachusetts. On February 26th of this year in Nigeria, my community was attacked because my community is comprised of my Christian brothers and sisters right here in Wakefield, Massachusetts. And on June 12th in 2016, in Orlando, Florida, my community was attacked at the Pulse nightclub because my community is in part comprised of my gay and transgender brothers and sisters right here in Wakefield, Massachusetts. And on it goes. I am tired and I am grieved by these seemingly endless tragedies, and I continually pray and search for some adequate answers and direction from God. Since the beginning of time, we know that individuals that have evil intent and those that suffer from mental illness have both cloaked themselves in the mantle of feigned spiritual righteousness. Now, more than ever, we need to be cognizant and proactive in recognizing prevailing evil and rampant mental illness, even within the walls of our houses of worship in our greater community. We need to pray for the wisdom and encourage to report bad behavior and violent diatribes. We need to demand adequate laws to confront evil, simple and encumbered laws. We need caring mental health protocols to compassionately protect patients and the public by empowering our counselors, our physicians, our police officers, and our firefighters with the tools to intercede without burdensome display. We need to care enough to fight the good fight in order to achieve these goals. My prayer tonight is for a return to the way that my parents were brought up. Their days were far from perfect. However, if you were fortunate enough to grow up in the poor section of Everett, like my father did, it didn't seem to matter if you were Irish or Italian, a Jew or a Gentile, black or white. They shared the responsibility to watch over our neighborhood kids and to ensure they were safe and respectful of each other, despite their cultural, racial, religious differences. Today, we need to remind and challenge ourselves to step outside of the comfortable bounds of our cloistered groups. We need to show care and concern beyond discriminate groupings. My community is made up of a wide spectrum of diverse cultural heritage and beliefs. And as your police chief, I have a responsibility to ensure their safety. This goal can be accomplished first by encouraging our shared humanity. The simple act of getting to know your neighbors is a critical baby step towards making the universal leap of caring and protecting the world that we live in. I implore you to have the courage and have the compassion to knock on your neighbor's door and invite them out for a cup of coffee. It is only through our shared humanity that we can truly bond and ultimately build a mechanism to soundly defeat evil and effectively help those who are mentally ill. Being a child of the 1960s, I'd like to close with the words of John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. You may think that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Thank you.
Our final speaker this evening is Zahir Adil from the Islamic Council of New England.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Those are the greetings of peace that every Muslim comes to you with, and it's the same as shalom alaikum, and it's the same as serenity. It's the same as saying shanti in the Indian context for a Hindu person. Chief, I have to refer to your speech. I am so thankful for you, to you for bringing up Nigeria, for bringing up the Tree of Life Synagogue. All of these things happened because of hate. And what happened in New Zealand, in Christchurch the other day, also happens because of hate. And hate should have no home here. Let me read my favorite poem. It's a poem that I know by heart. I've known it for many years. But let me ask first, the sound, can you hear me at the back? Okay, great. The poem is Abu Ben Adam. It goes, Abu Ben Adam, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold, exceeding peace had made Ben Adam bold. And to the vision in the room he said, what writest thou? The vision raised its head, and with a voice of all sweet accord replied, the names of those who love the Lord. And is mine one? Asked Ben Adam. Nay, not so, replied the angel. Abu spoke more low. But with a voice, but charily still, I pray thee then, write me as one who loves his fellow men. The angel wrote and vanished. The next night it returned with a great wakening light, and read the names whom love of Lord had blessed, and lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. You are the personification of Abu Ben Adam. You care for others, and this is the reason why you are here, showing your caring for the Muslim community, the community to which I belong. We are small, but we feel very welcome in gatherings like this. So I really am very, very grateful for all of you for being here. In closing, I will read a small chapter from the Quran. It's a chapter that talks about time and its relationship to man. It's called Asr, which in Arabic means time. In Arabic, and then I will translate, Wal Asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladina amanu wa amilu salihat, wa tawassaw bil haqq, wa tawassaw bis sabr. In translation, it says, by the passage of time, surely man is in a state of loss, except for those who practice faith, who are on the right path, who join with others in good, and who join with others in constancy. So let's learn a lesson from that. First and foremost to myself, I implore myself to always join with others, to join with people such as yourselves in doing things which are good, and to do it in a constant manner, to keep doing it. And I will also ask that you consider the same. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for having me. And may all of you and all of the world be in peace. Inshallah, as we say, as if God so wishes. Assalamu alaikum.
And now we will have the reading of the victims of the New Zealand by Ann Fortier, school committee representative, and Senila Yasmin.
In the words of New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, I implore you, speak the names of those who were lost. We will now share with you who we are remembering this evening. Atta Alian, new father and national futsal goalie. Mukad Ibrahim, 3 years old, youngest victim. Syed Milni, 14-year-old, soccer enthusiast, and known as a friend to all. Lilik Abdul Hamid, plane engineer, husband, father of 2, man known with a gold heart who would help anyone. Arib Ahmed, 27-year Pakistani, living in New Zealand while working for Price Waterhouse. Tariq Omar, professional soccer player and coach. Shahid Suhail, engineer with 2 young daughters. Syed Jahandad Ali, software engineer with 3 young children. Harun Mahood, Pakistani immigrant who taught in an international school. He had a family with 2 children. Farhaj Asnan, Indian immigrant who worked as an engineer. He had a wife and 2 children. Mahbub Kokhar, 65-year-old grandfather visiting his family in New Zealand for the first time. Ansi Ali Babva, recent master's degree graduate and newlywed. Ozair Kadir, studying to be a commercial pilot. Ramiz Vora became a new father just days before the incident, and his father, Asif Vora. Haji Daoud Al-Nabi, 71-year-old Afghan leader who welcomed everyone in his community. Salwa Mirwan Mohammed. Ali El-Madani, 65-year-old immigrant from the United Emirates. He always told his family to be strong. Husna Ahmad, 47-year-old woman who led many women and children to safety. She was killed attempting to lead her husband from the mosque. Naeem Rashid was killed while attacking the gunman. His 21-year-old son, Talil, was also killed. Amjad Hamid, father with young children, he worked as a cardiologist in the rural mountainous areas.
Kamel Darish was a dairy farmer from Jordan. He was awaiting his family's immigration. Linda Armstrong volunteered in the refugee center and advocated for women's rights. Muhammad Imran Khan was an Indian immigrant and owner of 3 local restaurants in the area. Hamza Mustafa was a 16-year-old who was on the phone with his mother when he died. Khalid Mustafa, his father, and also his younger brother were injured. Junaid Ismail, Christchurch native and dairy farmer. Abdul Fattah Qasim, he was a church elder who helped people immigrate to Christchurch. He was about to become a grandfather for the first time. Ashraf Ali, he was a frequent traveler to New Zealand. Ashraf Ali Rizat was a traveler from Fiji. Matullah Safi was an Afghan immigrant. He was a father of 9 children. Hussein al-Umari was a 35-year-old who worked in the travel industry. Musa Wali Suleiman Patel was an imam from Fiji. He was visiting his family and his friends in New Zealand. Ashraf al-Masari had 2 young children and worked in a shop. Hussein Mustafa was 70 years old and he loved the mosque. He loved tidying it and he loved nourishing it, and he was always a welcoming face there. Munir Soliman was 68. He was a design engineer and quality manager. Zishan Raza and his parents, Ghulam Hussain and Karam Bibi. The parents came to visit their son from Pakistan, who immigrated last year. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Almi, described as a giant in his community, survived by 5 sons, 4 daughters, and his wife of nearly 50 years. Mohsin al-Harbi worked in water desalination. His wife of 25 years had a heart attack looking for him after the attacks. Usama Adnan Yusuf Kwak was an Egyptian immigrant with 3 children. Mujammil Haq was 30 years old. He was a Bangladeshi that was studying in Christ Church. Muhammad Omar Farouk was a welder who was expecting a child. Muhammad Abdusi Samad was a university lecturer who also led prayers at the mosque. Musnoor Awal was a married 70-year-old man. Ahmad Gamuluddin Abdil Ghani was a 68-year-old man known for having a pure heart of gold. And Zakari Buya was recently newlywed who had taken the day off to celebrate his 33rd birthday. All of these people, all of these stories, they feel so familiar to me.
Our Wakefield Community Choir is going to teach us a song. So some of you have the verses in front of you, and maybe they'll sing it through once. We're going to try to light candles. We'll see if that works. It's a little windy, but the choir is going to teach us a song in any case, and then we'll all sing.
And we'll sing the first verse again, and please join in for all the verses. We're going to sing 1 through 3 and then go back and do the last verse once again, once we've learned it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Peace before us, peace behind us, peace under our feet. Peace within us, peace over us, let us around us be peace. Peace before us, peace behind us, peace under our feet. Peace within us, peace over us, let all around us be peace. Love before us, love behind us, love under our feet. Love within us, love over us, let all around us be love. Light before us, light behind us, light under our light within us, light over us, let all around us be light. Peace before us, peace behind us, peace under our feet. Peace within us, peace over us, let all around us be peace.
Our closing prayer tonight will be offered by the Reverend Glenn Mortimer of the Wakefield Lynnfield United Methodist Church.
I ask as you hear these prayers to hear them in your own context and in your own life. The first comes from the Taizé community. The second is a prayer for our many and varied diversities that we should embrace in a warm blanket of love and grace. Let us be in prayer. Lord Christ, at times we are like strangers on this earth, taken aback by all the violence, the harsh oppositions. Like a gentle breeze, you breathe upon us the spirit of peace. Transfigure the deserts of our doubts, and so prepare us to be bearers of reconciliation wherever you place us, until the day when a hope of peace dawns upon your world. O God, you created all people in your image. We thank you for the astonishing variety of races and cultures in this world. Enrich our lives by ever-widening circles of friendship, and show us your presence in those who differ most from us, until our knowledge of your love is made perfect in our love for all your children. I pray through Jesus our Lord. Amen.
On behalf of the Wakefield Interfaith Clergy Association and all those who partnered with us to make this evening so special and important, thank you for joining us tonight.